Hey there, hope you're having a wonderful day. So in the previous video, we fixed the bullets for the metalls. So when we destroy a metal, the bullets remain on the screen instead of disappearing with the metal. And we also went over how to create a map using a tile map. Now, in many video games, we have score. So basically, every time the player destroys an enemy or collects a certain item, the score goes up. So let's implement that. So we need to add a variable to keep track of the score, and this is going to be a number. And since only the player can have a score, I'm just going to add this score field to the player class. So over here in the constructor of the player class, I'm going to add self.score and set it to 0. Now we need to increment the score, and there's two ways to increment the score in the Mega Man games. The first way is to just defeat an enemy. So let's go to our move function where we check for collisions with the player bullets. And over here we have collision with the player bullets for metalls and bladers. So I'm just going to increment the score by 500 every time we destroy a metal or a blader. So over here I'll do player.score plus equal 500. And we'll also do the same for the blader. Player.score plus equal 500. Now we need to draw the score onto the screen. And to draw the score onto the screen, we need a font. So let's scroll up to where we create the game window. And over here where I add the window, we need to add a font. So here I'm just going to do pygame.font.init. So this is going to initialize the font for Pygame, and now we can specify a font. So I'm going to create a font and I'll call it game font. And this will be pygame.font.sysfont. And for now, I'll just use Arial. And the font size, I'll just make it 24. Later in this video, I'll show you how to use custom fonts for your game, but for now, I'm just going to use Arial. Now let's draw the score, so we need to go to our draw function. And within our draw function, I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to draw the score over here at the very end. So first, we need to get the text that we're drawing, and that is going to be the score. The text needs to be a string. So here I'm going to create a variable, text score, and I'm going to assign it string of player.score. And then we need to create a surface to render the text. So here I'm going to do text underscore surface game font dot render text score. So this is going to be the string of player score. And then I'm going to pass in false. So the second parameter is a boolean, which determines if you want to make the font smooth or not. So here I'll just set it to false. And then finally, for the third parameter, we have the font color. In this case, I'll just make it white. All right, so now that we have our text surface, let's draw this onto our screen. So here I'm going to do window.bullet text surface. And here we need to specify an X and Y position. So I'm going to draw it in the middle of our screen. So game width divided by 2 for the X position. And actually, this is not in the middle of the screen, but rather this is the starting point. So like with drawing rectangles and images, we always start from the top left corner. So when we draw the text, we're going to start drawing from the middle and then start adding text towards the right. So while the text is going to start drawing from the middle, it is not going to be aligned in the center. And then for the Y position, I'm just going to make it tile size divided by 2 from the top. So this is 16 pixels from the top. Okay, so let's save and run the program. All right, so here you can see we have a score of 0, and now I'm just going to destroy some metalls. So now we have a score of 500. Now let's try to destroy some bladers as well. Come on. All right, so we have 2500 as our score, and in the classic Mega Man games, we have up to 7 digits for the score. So currently we have 4 digits, so we would need to add 3 zeros in front. So let's go ahead and do that. So over here, I'm going to do while length of text score is less than 7. I'm going to add a 0 in front of the text score. So text score is equal to 0 plus text score. All right, let's save and run the program. Okay, so now we have 7 digits for the score. And let's destroy this metal and this one as well. Alright, so now we have the score displaying over here. Now let's update the score to use a custom font. So if you go to the GitHub repository, you'll find this font file. And if I double click on this, This is essentially the font that we'll be adding to our game. So this is the megaman game font. And you can find fonts online, so you can go to fontspace.com or you can go to fonts.google.com. And these font files come in various extensions. So you have OTF, TTF, SVG. So any of those font types will work. And in the case of my file, we have an OTF font file. Alright, so let's scroll up to where we added our font. And over here, I'm just going to comment this out. And I'll do game_font. This is going to be pygame.font.font. Okay, so the second font is capitalized. Now here we need to specify the file path. So since my font file is in the same directory or folder as my Python file, I can just do /. So this basically means check in the same directory. And here the file name is called megaman-game-font.otf. And of course, we also need to declare the font size, which is 24. Alright, let's save and run the program. And you can see we now have our custom font being used. And now if I go and destroy some metalls, the score goes up. Okay, so we have scoring with custom font, and we can increment our score by destroying the metalls or the bladers. Now we can also increment our score by collecting items, and these items are called score balls. So if I go to my images folder and I scroll down, here you can see we have a score ball. And the width and height of the score ball is going to be half of the tile size. So let's add this item into our game. Now to add the item, we need to load the image. So over here, I'm going to do score_ball_image and load image. The file name is score-ball.png. And the width and height is tile size divided by 2 and tile size divided by 2. Alright, so now that we have the image, we need to add this item to the drop items function. So let's go to that function. And over here, I'm just going to add a third item. So elif 50 less than random number less than or equal to 75. We're going to do items.append new item character.x character.y, and the item name is scoreball image. So we have a 25% of getting a scoreball, and now this brings the total to 75% for chance of getting an item. Finally, we need to have the player collide with the item, and if the player collides with the scoreball, the score goes up. So let's go to our collision for items in the move function. And over here, I'm just going to add elif item.image is equal to scoreball image. Here we're going to give the player .score 1000 points. So let's save and run the program. Alright, so we have our score 0, and now let's destroy some metalls. We have a healing item, another healing item, nothing. Okay, let's keep on going. Over here. Nice, we have a score ball. And now if we pick up the score ball, the score goes up by 1000. Okay, and let's destroy the blader here. And now the score goes up by another 500. Alright, so that's how you can add scoring to your game and draw text onto your game and use custom font. So that's it for this video, and in the next video we're going to go over game over. So here you can see we have this hole in the ground, and basically if Megaman loses all of his health, or if he steps on a spike, or if he simply just falls into a hole like this, we should get game over. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, make sure you give this video a like, and if you have any questions, let me know down below in the comments. And as always, if you want to stay up to date for more Python game programming tutorials like this one, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.